Welcome to the Palestine Museum, US. I'm Faisal Saleh. I'm the founder and executive director of the Palestine Museum, US. I'd like to welcome our audiences in the United States, in Palestine, and around the world, and wish everybody a happy Easter and a safe weekend. First, I'd like to introduce Yusuf Aboudi. Yusuf is a member of the board of directors at the museum, and he is my counterpart. Now, I would also like to introduce the artists participating in today's episode of our series, Telling the Palestinian Story, Artist Talks by artists exhibiting at the Palestine Museum. First, we have Jacqueline Bajjali from Luxembourg in Europe. We have Rwanda Nami from Montreal, Canada. We have Tala Abu Nawar from Amman, Jordan, and Namir Qasim from Jerusalem, Palestine. I would also like to introduce one of our guest hosts, Margaret Rowland. She is a professor at Yale University in the Divinity School. You may notice in the background there is one of her photographs that was part of an exhibit at the Palestine Museum, US, when the museum opened in 2018. And that photograph is from the Dheisheh refugee camp near Bethlehem. And the title of that exhibit was Marking Time. Behind me, in the background you see behind me, is a painting that has been exhibited at the Palestine Museum, US, by the Palestinian artist George Wahbeh, who lives in Southern California. At this point, I would also like to introduce the museum chief curator, Nancy Nesbitt, and I would like to turn it over to Nancy.
Again, this week, thank you for joining us in this series of artist talks, of artists exhibiting at Women Telling the Palestinian Story. We're happy to have Professor Rowland join us as a guest this time. This series is also available on Facebook by going to the museum's site, Palestine Museum US, on Facebook, and we'll be there for much more time than this if you want to view it at another time. With that said, and thanks to Artscope magazine for sponsoring us as well, I'd like to turn it over to the artists. Rawan, I think you're first.
Yes. Hello everyone, my name is Rwanda Alania. I'm a Palestinian artist. I'm glad to be here with you to talk more about my artworks and about myself. Well, I was born in Jerusalem. I'm originally from Hebron. My family lives in Al-Bire, Ramallah. I'm currently in Montreal. We moved here around 3 years ago. Well, I was raised in a family, in an environment full of colors and artistic artworks. In our home in Ramallah, the house is really unique because it's full of artistic artworks such as sculptures, ceramic vases, decorative bowls, and of course painting. All is made by my father. I don't know, maybe many of you know that I'm the daughter of the well-known Palestinian artist Nabil Anani. Well, when I was a little girl, I spent a lot of time in my father's studio, watching him painting and drawing. So as far as I remember that my father used to give us papers and colors and ask us to express ourselves on paper and to imagine, so just to use our imagination. So fortunately, I have one of my drawings with me here. That drawing, I drew it when I was 15 years old. I just want to show it to you. As you see here in the middle, the woman holding the vase or a girl holding a vase and wearing the folkloric dress. So what I was drawing in 1994 is not really far from what I'm drawing now. I mean, the same style. I did now for my education, actually, I did a diploma in office management, and I worked for around 3 years before I got married and moved to Saudi Arabia. I discovered my talent in Saudi Arabia because I had plenty of time for myself, and my girls grew up and went to school. So I said, I have to do something interesting in my life other than cooking and cleaning. So I was thinking of drawing. So my family encouraged me, my parents and my friends, as well as my husband. And I started drawing on canvas. So I remember that the first painting that I drew on canvas was about Hebron, my city. So I drew two women holding grapes, surrounded with the vineyards, and the background view was Hebron. So that was my first painting. Of course, the techniques were very poor, so very weak, but with time, the techniques have improved. Of course, my father helped me a lot to improve my techniques and skills. Well, I continued drawing on canvas, and in 2014, there was an exhibition at Zawiya Gallery in Ramallah. You know, this gallery is managed by my brother, Ziad, and he asked me to display some paintings in the gallery. So I participated, I remember, with 5 paintings, and he displayed 5 paintings for me. And I was very happy. It was like a challenge for me. So I remember after the opening, my brother called me and he said, Rawan, one of your paintings is already sold. So I was like shocked, surprised. Oh my God, that people appreciate my paintings to this extent. So I was very happy. So I told everyone and I spread the news that one of my paintings has already sold. And I used to visit my family every summer. I go to Ramallah to see my family. So when I met my brother, we were talking about the exhibition. I asked him, who's the buyer of the painting? And he said, come on, he didn't want to tell me who's the buyer. So I told him, I insisted. So he said, Rawan, to tell you the truth, your father is the one who bought the painting. So I was like shocked, as it was like an emotional moment for me. I was happy and said, maybe why you hid this piece of info from me? So I went to my father and talked to my father. He said, oh, Rawan, I'm trying just to support you, to encourage you, I wanted to continue drawing. So this is what happened. So I continued. Now I draw on canvas, but in 2015, I changed to wood or to paper. Actually, I consider myself as a watercolor artist because I don't know, I love watercolors. I love the effect of the paints when the paints mix into the water. The transparency is really nice. I love watercolors more than acrylic, but I draw from time to time acrylic. In 2019, last year, I held my first solo exhibition at the Danish House in Ramallah. It was very interesting, and I met people face to face, and we discussed many points about my work, and I answered many questions. Well, my style, if we can move please to my paintings, the watercolor paintings, Yusuf. Yes, well, my style is divided into 2 parts. The first part is the cities and landscape. The second part is cities and women. So as you see here, this painting is about Jaffa, Sunset Jaffa 2020. And as I see Jaffa in my imagination, I visited Jaffa many times before. See the holy places in Jaffa. Also, I draw not only, and sometimes I don't concentrate only on one city. I always draw our beautiful cities. We have beautiful cities, so I have many cities. So I draw Jerusalem, I draw Jaffa, I draw Akka. There are many beautiful cities in Palestine, so I like to focus on cities. And of course, I use colorful paint. The painting is always colorful. I love vivid colors. I love warm colors. This is my style. The second painting also, it's about, if you can see the second painting, Yusuf, please, yeah. And the second painting is called Woman of Haifa. Woman of Haifa, as you see the woman in the water. I like to see movements here in the painting. You see the woman holding, for example, the birds. Dancing in the water. I don't like to see women standing still. I like to see movements, moving their hands. For example, playing on an instrument, a musical instrument, wood, drum, or for example, picking olives, picking oranges. This is my style. This is what I like to see in my paintings. So movements are really important in my paintings. So of course it's very colorful, vivid, and I concentrate also on the folkloric dress because the folkloric dress is really special, full of colors, beautiful colors, designs, embroidery. So that's why I always draw colorful paintings because I like colors so much. Also, let us move now to the acrylic paintings. Yeah, this painting is called Jerusalem Spring 2020. And as you see here, this is the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. And you see there is a church, the Russian Orthodox Church. It's a well-known church on the mountain. And the mountain is facing all Jerusalem. You see the wall of Jerusalem, you see all the holy places in Jerusalem. And of course, the blooming almond trees and the poppy flowers everywhere, the green hills. So this, I like to draw Jerusalem because it's really rich, has a lot of beautiful places there. I remember last time I went to Jerusalem was in 1999. So we used to visit Jerusalem before, but unfortunately now it's a little bit difficult to go there. So this is Jerusalem. The second painting is on Nablus, and it's called the Harvest Nablus. And as you see the women of Nablus returning back to their homes after a long day in the fields. They are saying goodbye to each other. They brought some fruits with them. And you see the fields in the background. You see Nablus. This mosque is well known in the center of Nablus. It's famous with green domes. And also there is the clock tower in the center of Nablus. And there's a church in Rafidia. And also you see the mountains because Nablus is surrounded with mountains, Jerusalem and Ribal mountains. So, so this is the story of this painting. And of course, the Palestinian women always symbolize the resilience, they symbolize the land productivity. So I always concentrate on women in Palestine. Well, by the way, Nablus also is famous with the yummy sweets knafe also. I recommend it if you go and visit Nablus one day. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
That was lovely and enlightening. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we will take questions at the end if you would like to pose them on Facebook and also from the people here. Jacqueline Bajjali is next and we'll hear from her right now. Thank you. Jacqueline?
Unmute yourself.
I'm very, very happy to be here with you and be able to show my work. I want to thank Faisal Saleh very, very much to give me this opportunity and to show you my work and to expose my thoughts about the Palestinian question. And in these times when most humans can experience what Palestinians have been experiencing since years, limits on freedom of movement. So my name is Jacqueline Bajjali. I was born in Lebanon, in Beirut. My father was Lebanese. His mother, my grandmother, was Syrian from Aleppo. And my mother was Palestinian from Haifa. She was from the Zahlan family. She grew up in Haifa on Stanton Street. And of course, in 1948, they had to flee. They had to leave Palestine and come to live in Lebanon. And they never could go back. And me either. I have never been to Palestine. I have never been there. I know Palestine only on internet. So the brother of my mother is Antoine Zahlan. He is a professor, a scholar, a writer. He wrote many books on Palestine, among others, Science and Technology in the Arab-Israeli Conflict, The Reconstruction of Palestine, or How to Respond to the Nakba. And here is his portrait. It's him, my uncle Tony. And he is the one, with my mother, of course, who gave me this need to testify, to do something, to leave a trace, and to give my voice for Palestine. So it's very important that I am also Lebanese, and I have a Syrian grandmother. And I really want to say that when I was young, my parents always told me that it wasn't so different to be of one of these three places. And it was very easy to come and go, and they didn't feel barriers. And years have raised barriers between these three identities. And it is at our expense. So in my turn, I had to leave Lebanon. I had to leave Beirut to continue my education. I went to France, where I went to Atelier Maître de Penningen, and then at École Nationale Supérieure des Arts Décoratifs, where I studied applied arts, applied to communication. I worked in advertising, where I mostly did brand design and packaging. And then a few years ago, we moved to Luxembourg, and I came back to my first love, art and painting and drawing. And I registered to École Royale des Beaux-Arts in Belgium. It's very close. Luxembourg is a very small place. So I studied painting in this university. And it was very important for me because it gives you a structure, it gives you enough confidence to do research in many, many directions, in many ways. And it gave me confidence to take risks. So, and I also, when I came here to Luxembourg, came across a wonderful organization called CPJPO. It's acronym for Committee for a Just Peace in the Middle East. And they work, it's Luxembourgish and Belgian people who work a lot for Palestine pour faire connaître, so people can know what is going on there. People and also politics, and they do many things with the Palestinians, and they invite Palestinians here in Luxembourg. So I started painting them, I started doing their portraits, and that's how I started doing this gallery of portraits. Maybe we can see it. I started painting artists and intellectuals who came to see us here in Luxembourg. I wanted to portray them facing the viewer and confronting us with this silent idea that what is done to the Palestinians in the know of the entire world. So I wanted to paint them not smiling, just looking at us. I tried different techniques with very different outcomes, because I wanted to express that it's individuals with very, very different personalities, but they are all part of the same body. They are building a unique identity. And the only rule I kept was to use the colors of the flag and to keep the same size, the same canvas size. But I really like them to be exhibited all together, because it's a never-ending work. I think I'll go on doing these portraits all of my life. It's construction, and I'm not trying to put my personality into my paintings. I think it will always come out eventually. It allows me to go in several directions and experimentations. My two larger paintings that are exhibited at the museum, it's about Gaza, the March of Return of Gaza. It's blue Gaza and pink Gaza. And I made them under the shock of what was happening, how Gazans were shot and killed as in a carnival game. And I felt I was the only one here in my environment really realizing what was happening. So I thought the media didn't do enough. It was the illustration of how the media can influence the opinion by the importance it gives to an event. So I wanted to do very big and very colorful paintings to arouse conflicting emotions of rejection and desire, fear and fascination. Of course, these are done after photos. Photos I found on internet, as for some of the portraits. And actually, I think that this thing of painting after pictures is related to the fact that I never went to Palestine. All I know of Palestine is on internet. I spent a lot of time on Google Maps, visiting Haifa and spotting Stanton Street. I visit the museums on internet, and I follow artists there on internet. And I think this relation to internet pictures is interesting for me. And well, now that I have a French passport, I could go and I could go to Palestine, but I must say I have mixed feelings about really going there. And then, as for the three works on paper, it's a technique I also use in some of my paintings. It's the dissociation of several layers. Here, the painting is independent, and then the drawing is independent. And it's as if an image can be read at different levels, and there are different ways to read and to understand an image. So my never-ending research is to make these two things meet, the subject and the meaning, the colors and the meaning. And that's it for the three works on paper. I also work on very different subjects. Inshallah, I have an exhibition soon here in Belgium in an archaeology museum. And I had exhibitions about female empowerment, or about the media, about, well, many other subjects. And I often think of this line in the movie of Elia Sulaiman when they tell him that he's not enough Palestinian. And I don't want to keep myself on only this subject. I think we can speak about all subjects. Well, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Absolutely beautiful work, and we're so happy to have you in the exhibit, as well as at these artist talks.
Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to hear from Rwanda Nami, who is also a member of the Palestinian Artists Union, about her work. Rowan?
I think Rowan already spoken. We want to hear from
Namir Qasim.
Namir Qasim.
I'm really sorry. I have my order confused. At any rate, we'll hear from Amir, who lives in the Palestinian territories, who got her BA at Al-Quds. Now, thank you.
And before you start, Namir, let me make a comment here. Namir will speak in Arabic since she's more comfortable and more able to express her thoughts. And I will take the task of translating what she says in Arabic into English to the best of my ability. Go ahead, Namir.
Hello, everyone. I am Namir Qasim from Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine. I studied fine arts at Al-Quds University and graduated in 2007. I participated in a mini group exhibition, and I had 3 personal solo exhibitions. The first one entitled Spontaneous Character, the second one entitled Dance, the last one entitled Suspicion. Now, I'm so sorry to tell you that I have to speak Arabic because I like to express my artwork in popular Palestinian words, and Mr. Faisal will translate into English. Thank you. مرحبا جميعا. بدي أحكي.
Hello everybody, I want to speak
عن معرض رقص اللي صار بمتحف محمود درويش عام 2017.
I will talk about the exhibit Dancing, which took place at the Mahmoud Darwish Museum in 2017.
معرض رقص هو أعمال مستوحاة من فرقة الفنون الشعبية للرقص الفلسطيني.
The artwork here is based on the Palestinian folklore group.
الأعمال هي يعني أغلبها ألوان مشعة، ألوان جميلة بأسلوب خاص فيي، أسلوب طورته على مدى 2 سنين.
The works are based on a style that I developed over a period of 2 years, and it employs colors that are very bright.
والأعمال بتصور فرقة الفنون برقصاتها، بموسيقتها، بالزي التراثي والحركات الجميلة اللي بيأدوها على المسرح.
The art shows members of this dance group and what they do on stage and how they dance.
وبحب أحكي عن قصتي. ليش اخترت فرقة الفنون؟ لأنه أنا صغيرة كنت كتير بحب الدبكة، وكان كتير نفسي أكون معهم بالفرقة الفنون، بس بسبب إنه فرقة الفنون موجودين في رام الله وفي الحواجز، فأهلي ما خلوني أقدر أكون معهم.
The reason I picked the troupe to illustrate their work is because I was really very interested and would have loved to join that group. However, since the group was in Ramallah and I could not travel there because of the checkpoints and the borders, I decided to paint it.
فمن هون بس كبرت حبيت أحول حلمي لحقيقة من خلال إنه أخلي ريشتي وألواني ترقص على الكانفاس الأبيض وأعمل أحلى لوحات عن فرقة الفنون.
So when I got older, I decided to have my brush and my work dance for me on stage, as if I was doing it myself.
هلا إحنا رح نتوقف عند لوحة زغريد ولوحة كفا اللي هم حاليا معروضين في متحف فلسطين في أمريكا.
Now we will stop at the 2 paintings. The first one is called Zagharid, this one here, and the other painting is called Enough. And these 2 paintings are taken part in the Women's Global exhibit at the Palestine Museum, US, currently, that opened on the International Women's Day on March 8th.
لوحة زغريد هي بتحكي عن العادات الفلسطينية اللي هي التراثية. زغريد هي عبارة عن نوع من أنواع الأصوات اللي بيأدوها النساء الفلسطينيات.
This painting, which called Zaharid, the translation of that name is ululating, and that's a sound Palestinian women make often during weddings and other celebrations. Perhaps, Namir, could you give us a feel for what that sounds like? Okay, thank you.
Okay, زغاريد هي بتحكي عن الاحتفالات، الأعراس، الخطبة، التخرج، وللأسف كمان في حالة إذا كان في شهيد الأمهات بتزغرت، ولما الأسرى بتحرروا كمان يعني بيكون في زغاريد كمان.
This painting talks about the occasions for the Zaharit, and those include engagement parties, weddings, graduation from school, and sadly also when a martyr is martyred, and also when prisoners are set free.
ومن هون بحب أوجه تحية لميسون الرفيدي اللي هي الراقصة اللي رسمتها أنا، كانت عضوة فرقة الفنون.
I would like to recognize and say greetings to Maysoon Rafidi, who is illustrated in this painting, who was part of that dance troupe.
هذا كان بالنسبة لزغريد. ننتقل للوحة كفا.
Yeah, we now switch to the painting that's titled Enough.
لوحة كفا هي برضو لراقصة من راقصات فرقة الفنون الشعبية، ولكن من حركة إيدها هون بتصور إنه كفى لكل أنواع الاضطهاد للمرأة الفلسطينية اللي بتعانيها، والمرأة اللي بتعاني في كل بقاع الأرض بشكل عام.
This painting was by a dancer from the same troupe, the dance troupe we talked about, and her hands motion is really saying enough for the persecution of Palestinian women under occupation in Palestine and around the world as well.
هلا بحب احكي عن معرض سسبشن اللي هو الاشتباه اللي اخيرا اقيم في دولة قطر في كتارا الحي الثقافي في مطلع 2020.
Now I'd like to talk about the exhibit that's called Suspicion that took place in Qatar recently in 2020.
هذا المعرض هو معرض فن مفاهيمي اللي هو conceptual art، اللي هو فيه عناصر، والعنصر الرئيسي اللي بيلعب في كل اللوحات هي الحقيبة.
The main concept, the main theme in all the paintings is the knapsack.
وهي اخترت عنصر الحقيبة لأنه الحقيبة هي وسيلة لنقل حاجاتنا بكل راحة، وهي متعددة الأشكال والألوان نقدر ناخذها معنا وين ما بدنا، بس للأسف عند الإنسان الفلسطيني بتتحول لعبء كبير بسبب نقاط التفتيش اللي بيمرق عليها كل يوم.
I picked the knapsack as the personal item that contains our things that we take with us and carry everywhere we go. But unfortunately, it's become a big burden on us. As we travel, we stop at all the checkpoints and it gets inspected, and it's just a big problem for us.
الحقيبة في معرض اشتباه بتمثل فلسطين بشكل عام واللي بتعيشوا من تقسيمات، بتمثل القدس بشكل خاص وما تعيشه من حالة عزلة ومراقبة.
The knapsack as depicted here in the artwork really represents Palestine in general and all the issues and the challenges that we face, and also more particularly it represents the condition in Jerusalem and all the persecution that we suffer there.
واخترت الحقيبة المدرسية بشكل خاص لأنه طلاب المدارس أصبحوا مستهدفين أكثر من غيرهم، ولأنه في طلاب كثير بيقطعوا الحواجز كل يوم وبيتم تفتيشهم بشكل يومي.
And I picked the knapsack, which is basically a student's bag, to highlight the treatment of Palestinian students receive in Jerusalem and other parts of Palestine, and how they are treated at checkpoints and other crossing points.
وأخيرا هذا المعرض هو إهداء لروح الشهيد نديم نوارة اللي استشهد وهو لا يزال يرتدي حقيبته المدرسية.
And finally, this exhibit is dedicated to Nadim Nawara, who was martyred while carrying his school knapsack on his back.
And thank you very much. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nancy?
Yes. Thank you so much. I might mention that I'm hoping that the worldwide situation makes us exhibit more empathy for the situation of Palestinians and Palestinian artists, especially relegated to a small territory and long lines at checkpoints to travel, just as Namir's artwork exhibits. Next, we'll be hearing from Tala Abunawar, who's in Amman, Jordan. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tala Abunawar. At first, I would like to thank the Palestine Museum for hosting us artists in this talk. And I would like to thank the viewers and hope that they're safe, them and their families and loved ones around the globe. I'm half Palestinian, half Jordanian. My mom's from Gaza, may God bless her soul, and my father is Jordanian. I studied business administration, and I worked as a marketing executive in the telecom industry. Well, I was more responsible of the creative part, which is branding and communication and what have you. 18 years, I worked in that for 18 years. And 3 years ago, I think I had a spiritual awakening, and I sort of questioned, who I am, what's my purpose, am I the same person I was 18 years ago? And I spent more time in nature. I started meditating. I think I started seeking within and, just seeking in general. And I took the decision to leave my comfort zone, leave the corporate world, and sort of rediscover who I really am without all these, let's say, materialistic things that define me. So I decided to follow my intuition and my passion for mixing art with mysticism of religions, Sufi wisdom, Arabic poetry, yoga, philosophy. And my family and I, we decided to move to Jordan. And I started creating these wooden boxes. I'll show you with, I hope everyone can see. So they have like movable pieces. I use eclectic material, like acrylic sheets. You can always like rearrange them if you want, so you can move the pieces. This is from actually the spirit of the same artwork I have exhibited at the exhibition. So you have two sides. I use mirror, fabric, acrylic sheets, glass, and it's mainly mixed media. So I use resin, I use oil, I use ink, I use different material. So each piece actually tells a spiritual story, and it reflects my own quest for enlightenment and spiritual insight. If we want to move to the artwork that I'm exhibiting at the exhibition, I kind of believe that we're spiritual beings, all created in heaven, so we're all sort of like equal. We're all visitors on earth. So most of my work is very spiritual. The lady is sitting in stillness. The pattern and the copy that's on her dress represents oneness. The bird in the background basically symbolizes a free spirit, the connection between heavens and earth, birds are messengers of the soul. And the flower, the lotus flower in front of her, it represents or symbolizes beauty, life, purity, enlightenment, rebirth, self-regeneration. The copy, I use the raw Arabic calligraphy on most of my artwork. This says عشق الروح, which means the love of the soul. And it has a quote from Mahmoud Darwish, يطير الحمام قصيدته يطير الحمام يحط الحمام, which says, you are the beginning of my soul and you are the end. And من يسكن الروح فكيف للقلب أن ينسى. So whoever inhibits the soul, how can the heart forget it? So this is the concept of this painting. So we move to the next one. Shall we move to the next painting? This is actually a Sufi artwork. It has a poem of what they recite during halaqat al-dhikr. It's also mixed media, so it's oil. It has the pouring medium, and can we please move to the next one? This is layered art. It's taken from a Rumi poem. You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the entire ocean in a drop, and you can see the ripple effect of water on the slides, and the moon and the nature. It's called The Awakening of the Divine Feminine. This is Cosmic Love Surrounds You. It's also a Rumi poem. I can't remember what it says, but it's the birds say ishq, and it's one of Rumi poetry. Can we move to the next one, please? This is the dance between higher and lower self. It talks about humanity and birds, and it has a few of the sayings, Rumi sayings about combining them. It's like, I was looking for beauty, and it's like I had to look within to find real beauty. Shall we move on to the other one, please? This is a poem for Mahmoud Darwish. It's يطير الحمام يحط الحمام, and it's called The Messengers of the Soul. The nice thing about these pieces is that you can always change the slides, keep just the background, keep a few slides. This is also mixed media, so it's acrylic, it's oil, and I have fabric and collage. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I think we have some time now to have some questions from people on the panel here. We're gonna turn it over to Margaret Rowland to see if she has any comments or questions about what she saw. Margaret? Unmute yourself. Mute.
I'll unmute her.
Unmute myself.
There
we go. Thank you, everybody. This has really been wonderfully illuminating. And I had too many thoughts to really express all of them, since I want other people to have a chance to talk, and a chance for the for questions to come from the Facebook audience and other people. So I'm just going to start with a few observations. I'm always trying to tie everything together. I guess that's a kind of an academic thing. And I'm interested in many ways in which, in fact, you're very different from one another in style, although many of the things that you say relate to one another. I noticed that, for example, I was interested in, to begin with, Rwanda, since she went first, that your painting is very much focused on women, cities and women, cities, you know, as a whole, these sort of large visions of cities, but also the women. I wonder if you could that you concentrate on folkloric dress, in spring and harvest, notions of abundance and fruitfulness, bright colors to make things happier, I think, or to express joy. I'm interested in your just elaborating on the fact that you choose not to give your women faces, at least in the pictures that we've seen. That interested me very much, and I wonder if you could say a couple of words about that.
Yes, sure. Simply, this is my style. If I add facial features to the faces, then my style will be changed. So there's no reason, no, there's no specific reason. I created this style, and this is my style. So many people asked me about this before, and they asked me also why I don't add men also beside women. There is no reason. Maybe in the future I will add men also. I never know. But the facial feature, the facial features will really make the style different. That's why there is no reason really. This is my style, and this is the way I express myself. I mean, this is my style simply.
Well, you know, styles have meaning as well, as you probably know. So of course I imagined, you know, lots of meanings that may be there even though you're not thinking about them. And my sense is that both your cities and your women are kind of meant to be, not meant to be, even if they're Haifa and Jerusalem or Jaffa, they're meant to be universal cities somehow, and or the idea of what a city should be. And I feel the same way a little bit about the women. Just to mention that that styles can have very, very different meanings. I was struck that immediately after we heard from Jacqueline, who also uses bright and colorful colors, but she does it to express something very, very different. She said that she used her colors to excite the imagination, and I think even in some cases to suggest I'm not sure if I should say the word anger. Should I say the word anger? But to get people aroused so they will notice some of the things, I mean, that she's testifying about, and her word is testify. I thought perhaps Jacqueline could respond to this. Jacqueline.
Can you give me Okay. So yes, of course, you can use the word anger, because that's why I said that I know, and I really wanted my paintings to have rejection emotions, because of course when you see anger paintings you can have rejection emotions, but that was the point. The point was to say it's not an easy thing. My thing is not to speak about the wonderful lives that we would have had or that we had before. I really live in front of the news, and I try to reflect my feelings when I read the papers and when I'm aware of what is happening. And actually, it's so hard for me to put these things in words. So it's easier to put it in colors. So.
Yeah, I like that idea, to put it in colors instead of in words. I can completely relate to that. I also thought that perhaps you're, somehow very different. You're in a sense giving two sides of a coin that we can all recognize, at least. That you differ, also in that Rowan goes to Ramallah every summer, and you've never been to Palestine. I think.
Yeah, yeah, and absolutely. I think it's part of the whole. My whole work is that I've never been there, and I don't know if now that my mother is not with me, I can go there. I think it's difficult. It's I don't know how to. Of course, I'd like to go, and then on another side, I'd rather stay here and work from afar or wait for a better solution to the problem. Well, I haven't decided yet if I should go or no.
Yeah, I'd be interested in hearing about it if you do go. If you decide to go, I would love to know what your trip will be like. Namir, I was struck by your saying that your brush will dance for you. That is yourself. That's yourself as a child, right? Deciding that you are going to paint instead of dance, because in a sense of all the checkpoints that you would have to travel through. Is that right? To try to dance, at least in this one group, but also that that you have these two sides in one style, in a sense, that is the dancing brush that celebrates this dancing troupe, and then also the whole suspicion. The suspicion project caught me, because one of my first experiences in Israel, one of the reasons that I decided I would never go back there, although I went back for entirely different reasons, but when I first went, before I went during the moment that the war with Lebanon started in '82. It had not started yet. That was the last straw, was the war with Lebanon. But the first straw was walking down a street in Tel Aviv, and some soldiers kind of routinely came up, pressed us all back, told us all to stop. We stopped near a flight of steps, I don't know where it was leading, on which was sitting a little backpack. And they said, stop right here, don't go anywhere, don't move forward. About a minute later, there was a little explosion on the steps and the backpack was gone, and the soldiers came and said, okay, now you can go through. And it wasn't even the fact that they'd just blown up the backpack, but the fact that it seemed completely routine. Like backpacks get blown up every 10 minutes and, you know, and the person who, whoops, left my backpack on the steps will come back and find no backpack. And, you know, anyway, it was, I just felt like I'd come to a sort of a very strange and not very inviting place. Okay, enough of that, but I'd like to kind of understand what moved you from dance to, from joyous dance, as I see it, to suspicion. Let me.
Hi, Margaret. Okay, I have to answer in Arabic and then Mr. Faisal will translate.
Yes.
أنا انتقلت من دانس اللي هو معرض جمالي بيحكي عن ألوان مفعمة بالحياة، رقص فلسطيني زغاريد، لسسبشن اللي هو الاشتباه، لأنه في شغلات مع إنه في جمال إحنا بنشوفه كل يوم في التراث الفلسطيني في حياة الفلسطينيين، إلا إنه في صعوبات كثير عم بنعيشها.
I moved from the Zagharit, which is, and the dance, which is very colorful and bright and beautiful, to the subject of suspicion, because there are so many things in our life that we see on a day-to-day basis that reminds us of that all the time.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, go on. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. وكمان إنه أنا حبيت أعرض يعني الرموز اللي موجودة في لوحات suspicion اللي هي بتحكي عن كأنه أنتوا عم تتفرجوا على ألعاب، اللي هي هاي اللعبة اللي إحنا بنلعبها كل يوم واللي already اتعودنا عليها، بس هي اللعبة الأصعب بحياتنا واللي بنحاول كل الوقت إنه نتعامل معها بحذر شديد لحتى نعيش حياتنا الطبيعية وتخليها طبيعية.
I wanted to exhibit and illustrate the elements that we have, like as a game that we play every day, but this game that we approach very seriously and we have to deal with every day of our life.
Okay, so Talia, I don't want to, you know, I want to give you, I hope we can spend like another 5 minutes of this, at least, because I thought, you know, the most sort of spiritual of the group and the way that you're, in a sense, looking for freedom here is a spiritual search. Something I love the layered art that you can, you know, in which you can. I mean, there's just so much to it that I feel like your work is almost too deep to find a little tiny question about. So, but I would like to understand a little bit more about the spirituality. I mean, are your works part of a search, or are they in a part of kind of an illustration of the results of a search?
I think I'm still on a journey. I cannot claim that I've reached enlightenment in any way, form, or shape, but I think they sort of just represent where I am in that journey, and I think they reflect my own quest for enlightenment and oneness. And in terms of, let's say, the colors I use and the techniques and what have you, yes, I have taken a few courses with some established artists. I'm a self-taught artist. So I think I'm just, exploring at the moment. So I'm just trying so many different things, so many different styles. And I think I haven't reached to, where I want to be at. But it's always a journey, and I started it, and I'll just see where that takes me.
I guess I have a sense that your works are ahead of where you are, probably.
It could be. Actually, sometimes I do paint something, and then I look back at it in a few months, and then I realize that I was somewhere where I didn't possibly think I was. So yeah, you got that right.
So how are you all doing in I assume you're all quarantined in some way. If you have something particular to say about what that has brought or taken away from you, then go ahead.
I actually think it's a blessing. Besides giving the planet a break from humanity, I think it's also a great time to slow down and reflect and just look at all your relationships with yourself, with your family, with your husband, with your kids, and sort of be more mindful and more present and more appreciative of what you do have, and like all the small things that actually have big meanings that we sort of, just run in life and on the fast pace, and we don't really have that time to like just sit down and reflect and just slow down and listen, So I think it's a blessing, as long as, I hope everyone stays safe. It's tragic that, people are actually dying from the disease. And I think we're very blessed to be safe with our families and have that time to think of it as a blessing to be able to reflect.
We do have a question from Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and read the question here. It is from Yusuf Khanfar. The question is to Jacqueline. I'm sorry. The question is to all artists: what challenges do you face regarding identity of being woman, Palestinian, and others? Do you experience discrimination, pushback, and other challenges, and how do you handle them? This is a question for any of the artists.
Well, yes. If I can say, here in Europe, it's a challenge to be Palestinian, because you realize they don't even want to know what is Palestine, and for them, most of them, they don't want us to exist as Palestinians. So of course they very quickly tell us, but you are also something else, or you are so well here, you should be happy to be here. So yes, it is challenging.
Anyone else? Okay, we do have by the way, we're going to run over time a little bit since the conversation is really good, and I'd hate to interrupt it. So we have a comment from Facebook by Cindy Corey. Cindy is Rachel Corey's mother. And she says, thank you, Namir, Tala, Rawan, and Jacqueline. You inspired us all to look for beauty through our challenges. You inspire creative action in all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have a couple of questions from Facebook as well. That came earlier. For Namir from Fadil Ayub, did you use digital computer help on using vector style maybe?
No, I did it actually. عملت الرسومات بطريقتي الخاصة اللي هي أكثر من طبقة فوق بعض. بس ما استعملت digital. This is
I did not use any digital techniques. I used my own method of using multiple layers, but did not use any computer technology in the drawing.
والألوان هي acrylic on canvas.
And the colors are acrylic on canvas.
And the other question, Namir, was from Amal Gilbert. Are the dance or the suspicion exhibit available to be seen online?
موجودين هم already في صفحة الفيسبوك تاعتي اللي هي نمير قاسم.
Okay, so they are available on Facebook, Emma. The other two questions were for Rawan. One also from Emma Gilbert. When I saw your paintings at the museum, the trees in them seem to be lit up. I think that's the gold leaf you were using on the trees, I believe. Let me put that up for everyone. Let's take a look here. Oh, these ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
The almond trees, because it's springtime, so you can see them like this. They are bright, blooming with flowers. So that's why I think there's no reason.
Okay. And the other question, I think Margaret already asked it, was about the lack of facial features on your paintings of the women. And I think you've already answered that.
Yeah, I answered.
Let me take a look and make sure I did not miss any other questions here.
While you're doing that, there's been some inquiry about the availability of some of the artwork for sale. And the answer is yes. Just about all the artwork that's on exhibition at the Palestine Museum US, that is part of the telling the Palestinian story, is about over 150 paintings. It's all for sale, and anybody has any interest should inquire directly with the museum. We'll be happy to provide you with additional information as needed. And of course, we encourage people to support the Palestinian artists around the world. They all need support.
That said.
One more question here from Stanley Heller. To all, can any of your images be used on posters calling for demonstrators and virtual rallies? That's a little tough.
I would suggest that for copyright reasons that you would have to obtain specific permissions from each artist individually and cannot be used without that. I assume I'm speaking for the artists here.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more? I don't see any more questions on Facebook, Faisal.
No, I don't either, or any other comments. Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, we received very complimentary comments on Facebook. You guys can read them after the program. And any other comments from anybody or remarks from any of the artists or the hosts and the guest hosts?
I just want to thank all of you for coming, for exhibiting your artwork, for explaining it to the world. I want to thank Professor Olin for her wonderful comments. And I want to say that I hope that our artistic community illustrated here not only provided a diversion for you, our audience, but also an insight into the work of the artists here who have illustrated not only the trials of Palestinians, but also the joys. Please continue to see our series. We'll be on again next Sunday at noon Eastern US time. You can coordinate that to wherever you are. And as we said at the beginning, you can view this on Facebook at the site of Palestine Museum US throughout the week. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. And please try to share the recording that's on Facebook with your friends, and try to disseminate it as widely as you can. We would appreciate that. So I'd like to thank the artists who participated, the hosts and co-hosts, and our team at the Palestine Museum US, and would like to thank George Wahbe for having the opportunity to use his painting as a background at the beginning of the program. Thank you, everybody. Please stay safe. Best wishes for good health, and stay out of harm's way. And we'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place. And thank you, and goodbye.
Basil, just my one moment to say thank you as well for making me a part of this.
You're welcome. Our pleasure.
It's fascinating.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Okay, I just we stopped the live transmission. So thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your evening or afternoon, and please stay safe, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
Thank you for having us.
I know your time is valuable on Sundays, so
Yeah.
thanks so much for doing this.
Take care.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Bye.
for this whole
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.